Welcome to the Spake Up Podcast. So happy to have you guys here again this week. Last week was so much fun with Brad Nessler. I just think having a talk with him was just so cool. All right. So again, let's subscribe, please, to the Spake Up Podcast. Hit the subscribe button, whether that be on Apple, on Spotify, on Instagram, on TikTok, wherever you consume your social media, because it's everywhere, right? Go ahead and subscribe. We've got some great guests coming up, and we can only get those guests because we're getting the numbers. So everyone, please give me some more love here at the Spake Up Podcast. All right. So I had a meeting today, pretty long meeting actually, with some folks about the podcast and the direction that it's going, because we're growing every single week. The numbers are getting better. Thank you for that, by the way. But I think one of the things that we talked about today was the fact that the first couple months of the podcast have kind of been, I don't know, like kind of all over the place, right? There hasn't been like a certain direction. Welcome to my world. Welcome to my life, by the way, a little scattered. And one of the things I heard was that there's a lot of people that, they tune into a podcast to hear a certain topic, to hear one thing. And so what is that thing? And the question that I was asked today was, what do you want the Spake Up Podcast to be? What do you want? Why do you want people to listen? Why are they going to tune in? What is the thread that ties all of these episodes together? And truly, I mean, I sat there, I was like, oh shit, like I got to answer this question. I can't do that right now. It's definitely going to be something that I'm going to be thinking about for a while, trying to figure this out. But I think the reason that I started this podcast, and one of the things that I think about every single week is it kind of comes back to me. And I'm not like it's all about me. That's not where I'm going. But I do think that there are very few people in this industry world, whatever, that have crossed as many lines as I have, whether that be in terms of sports or professions, beliefs, interests. There's a reason, I think, that I've met so many people in my life. And I think that I've left an impression on a lot of those people. And in most cases, I really think that's a positive one. I think that that's what I'm most proud of in my life and my career, is that I've left a positive influence on a lot of people that I've met. So here's what I keep coming back to, kind of getting back to the question, right? Like, what do I want this podcast to be? I want to talk to people that matter to me. I want to talk to people who are part of my journey, because there are a lot of parts to my journey. A lot of you guys, you guys kind of see me on TV, hair, makeup done, everything kind of put together. People have called me like buttoned up girl before. But my story is a very, very, very long one, and a very challenging one. So started obviously as a young girl, troubled young girl, came from a divorce, lower middle class, used drugs and alcohol at a very young age, got myself out of there. Then I was a young woman. I started a career, started covering a sport that I had never covered before. Didn't know anything about it, but I did know that I didn't want to go back. And I didn't have a head start, right? So there's a lot of kids nowadays who have a head start, but because of where I came from in my life and the things that I had to overcome at a young age, I did not have a head start. My start started at 23. There are so many kids nowadays that are so much younger. So the fight that I had in me, I think it had to be a lot stronger. Then I'm a mom, right? Then I'm a mom, then I'm a working mom, then I'm a single mom. I've lost friends, not like lost friends, but like lost friends. People have died. I almost lost a sister, lost a marriage. And most recently thought that I had lost a career that I worked really damn hard to build. So there's a lot of things that have kind of gone in my life. And I've never been the one that's been like, oh my gosh, why is this happening to me? I've always been the one that's been like, why is this happening to me? And I've also realized that over the years, when I share those stories with people, a lot of people relate to them. And maybe that's where the bond that I have with people, maybe that's the impression. Maybe that's why I can talk to a lot of people, and a lot of people that I've worked with over the years connect with me. And that's where this connection is kind of coming out. Um, so while I'm trying to figure out the direction of this podcast, everybody, let's just go with that, right? Let's just go with the fact that I'm having conversations with people who I like talking to, I think are really cool, I think I have a connection with, and I think have been a part of my life and my journey to make me better, a better person, a better whatever. And this is my gift to you guys, right? I get to bring in people like Brad Nessler or Alan Beswick or Savannah Banana, Annie Agar, like all these people who truly like, it's not just random people that I'm just like talking to. I definitely have a connection with them. All right. So let's talk about today's guests. You know their names: Tony Stewart, Leah Pruett. I'll tell you this. I don't know anything about Top Fuel. I don't know anything about drag racing. I told Tony and Leah that that's what they're doing now. You guys might know Tony Stewart as the Cup Series champion, owner of Stewart Haas Racing, whatever. But now he's racing a totally different type of car. He's married to a beautiful woman. He has a car, a child. I don't know anything about that world, but I will tell you this. I know a lot about Tony Stewart. I've known Tony since 2005. In fact, I think he was probably like one of the first drivers that I ever did a feature with when I was at NASCAR Nation on Speed Channel. Shout out NASCAR Nation, long time ago. And here's some words. I wrote these down. Here's words that I would use to describe Tony. And I think that most people that are listening to this that know Tony would agree. Fiery, polarizing, no question, scary, smart ass, an asshole, definitely. But honest, talented. And now I got to tell you, after knowing him for 20 years and sitting in a room with him, for an hour with his wife, I would say that, I don't know, I think he's balanced. I think there's been a lot of balance. If you pulled the garage right now, the NASCAR garage, and you said, hey, how many of you guys think that Tony Stewart would be married with a kid? I bet you 99, maybe 99.9%, maybe even more, maybe 100 would have said, hell no. But he is, and he has met the love of his life. He's a dad. And I think that he's finally found some happiness and some peace. So I'll tell you, had Kurt Busch on week 2, right? Just like Kurt Busch, Tony Stewart scared the shit out of me. Terrible, right? I'm a young reporter. I don't know much. If I had to interview him pre-race, oh my goodness, I would be so nervous. But he made me better and he made me stronger. And if you would have told me 20 years ago, if you had told me 15, 10 years ago that I would have been sitting down with Tony and his wife talking about his life and his challenges, and I would have looked over and saw him like tearing up and like actually kind of like getting a little emotional, I would have told you, you know where to go, because I would have never believed you. But that is exactly what happened. And so again, getting back to why I'm doing this podcast, I think that I have had the luck, the ability to meet so many different people. And now in my life, I can have conversations with them on a totally different level. And Tony Stewart is one of them. So I would like to thank Tony. I would like to thank Leah, Mike Arning, who has been by Tony's side forever, who made this possible. Doug Rice and PRN, Performance Racing Network, for letting me use the studio, because I wouldn't have been able to fit all 3 of them here in my house. And thank you all at home for humoring me for the last couple weeks by listening to sort of my my crazy little everyone all over the place. Let's just talk to whoever will come on and talk to me kind of podcast. But I really hope that you enjoy the next, I guess, like hour, because I don't know. I had a good time talking to Tony about his future and his wife and his child and all of the above. So enjoy. Leah, I have never met you before, so I'm excited to kind of sit down and meet the woman who got the heart of Tony Stewart. I met him for the first time 2005, I think it was. I was working for Speed Channel. Did you have a hearse car?
I did
back in the
rehearse for a
day.
while. Yeah.
And I think we did a piece with you. And then I also was with your fan club the day after you won the Brickyard. So came to that event. So I've known Tony for a really, really long time.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm sure that was huge.
Oh.
Fan club on that day.
We're going to have a lot of fun with that. Yes. Listen, it's Tony. He's awesome. Listen, so I wrote down some of these. I forget how many, forget everything that you've done, Tony, right? 3-time Cup Series champion, IndyCar Series champion, USAC, midget, Triple Crown, IROC, Hall of Famer, and now regular season for Top Fuel. But that's what would that mean to you to kind of get that one? Did you have an idea that you might be able to get it done? I mean, I know you're confident. Yeah.
We had led the points for part of the season and then slipped back to second right before U.S. Nationals. So we definitely knew we had a legit shot to win the regular season championship. But I think it was kind of a scenario where a year ago when I got in the car when Leah was ready to start her family, nothing went right last year in year one. And then this year, literally, when we went to Gainesville and started the NHRA season, we were onto something that was way better and gave us a wider window to work in. So by the time you get to U.S. Nationals, I mean, last year I was one of the last guys that got presented my medallion and the board saying that I'd made the countdown. And I did that 2 events before we got there this year. So. But going into race day, I mean, we knew we had a legit opportunity to win the regular season championship and to, even though it's not the world championship at the end of the season, I mean, it's still 14 races it took to get to that. And now to win the world championship, we got to do it in 6 races now. So I take a lot of pride in what our team's done since last year to get us there and give us that opportunity. But to add it to the list and look how diverse the list is, it makes me proud of what we've been able to accomplish, but we've done it with so many great people that helped get us there. So it's it seems like just another check mark in a box on a list, but it really means something of going to a different form of motorsports that the discipline is so drastically different than anything I had ever done before.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I was talking to Kyle Larson, I don't know, maybe a month and a half ago, and I asked him just about, just how diverse he is. And for me, my career, I always wanted to be able to do just more than motorsports. I wanted to be able to do NFL. I wanted to do basketball. That was a real priority of mine. And everybody looks to you as sort of the bar, as someone who can literally jump in anything and succeed. What was the learning curve for him like to be able to make that move? Because this is something that you've done since, 8 years old?
Correct,
Yeah.
yes. Well, I mean, I was not around and with Tony when he got to accomplish all of those other marks on that checklist right there. So for me, it was, starting from scratch, but also with what I consider the world's best wheelman. So teaching him, being his coach throughout that process.
Is that what you call him? Like, hey, dinner's ready. The world's best wheelman.
That's right. Yes.
I've never been called to dinner that way, ever, not once.
I have to make dinner in order for that to happen.
Girl, I don't make dinner either. I open the wine, let DoorDash handle the
I try.
dinner.
He cuts me off on making dinner. He's like, "It's fine, Leah. We'll just order." I'm like, I have to do it in order to get better at it. No, but his transition was, I don't want to say almost seamless. I mean, because anybody that's really looked at Tony's career and knows him when he's driving, how detail orientated he is. And that's exactly what this sport is about. You take running a couple 100 miles of laps and condense that down into just a few seconds. There's no room for error. So really none, zero. Yeah. You miss one thing. Wrong clutch application, brake pressure, throttle down, smoking to the tires, cylinder out, anything has a very dramatic effect to the race car. So Tony took that very seriously. I think when I look at holistically Tony's progress throughout drag racing, I am, besides his drivability on the track, I'm most impressed with his understanding now of the level of patience it takes in drag racing to get out of a hole, out of a slump, because we don't make that many runs. It's 4 qualifying attempts and then possibly 4 runs of eliminations on Sunday every other weekend without testing in the middle. So when you're working on something and you're not seeing those immediate results, it's not another lap that you're gonna try a different line, you're gonna try a different maneuver. It just takes now months to get out of what you might have a ill running car and you're trying to get momentum. So for him to grasp momentum with a team is taken longer, I think, for him to really get out of. And this year's a true testament to that. And so, Tony's the biggest cheerleader of the team, and we're the biggest cheerleader of him, going, we're going to get this. We're going to get out of this. You stay consistent and stay the same, and the car's going to meet you there. And so that's what I take a lot of pride in, is seeing Tony's continuous maturity behind the wheel.
Wow.
Yeah.
She used the M word.
It's normally not.
She used the M word.
You never hear that in a statement with my name in it normally.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know you to be the most patient person in the
No.
20 years that I've known you. So what did you have to pull from in order to figure that part out?
Pull from Leah, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, and she's right. It's, I remember when we would run at Bristol in happy hour, if we had a good handling car, we easily could run 100 to 120 laps in happy hour and make 2 or 3 runs to do it.
They don't do that anymore, by the way,
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But it's, we were able to do that, and we were able to sit there on a test day. A test day is just like a race day for us. I mean, a good test day, you're going to make 4 runs. That's all the time you're going to have between making the run, coming back, servicing the car, getting it ready, doing the warm-up, go up to the line, make the next run. So 4 runs in a day. That's 4 opportunities to make changes. Plus, you're chasing a track that's constantly changing because of temperature and everything during the day. So it's really hard to test like I'm used to testing in practice sessions,
Yeah.
like I'm used to having. There is no practice. You don't get a practice run before you go into qualifying. Your very first run of the race weekend is a qualifying run. So to her point, it was sitting down and reframing what the process actually is to go through and sort things out. And it's very frustrating because you have a problem. We come from a world where we're there for 3 days. We fix the problem by race day. In 2 days, you got to fix this
Or you have
problem.
500 miles to fix the car, right? To
Right.
fix it.
Get
Yeah.
close, and you can fix it the rest of the way
That's
during
right.
the race. Here, you can't do that. Like she said, on a if you have a great weekend and you make it to the finals, you have 8 passes you're going to make on a weekend. So it doesn't give you a lot of time if things aren't going right to find the solution, because if you go out first round, now you've ran 4 qualifying runs and 1 round of eliminations, and you're loading your stuff up to go home. So 5 runs. So when you're trying to work through problems and isolate problems, it's a lot longer process to get to the end of it and get to the solution. So it just was her sitting me down going, I know you're frustrated, but you have to think about what this process looks like compared to what you're used to. And it's just learning a different mindset.
Yeah, that's crazy. So the first time you got in a car, I read a story, you were 8, but you had to wait till the next week or something. Your sister was racing. Was that is that story true?
Very similar. I was 7 on Saturday and I turned 8 on Sunday,
Yeah.
and then I got to race. I think I went a whopping 16 seconds and a eighth of a mile at 32 miles an hour, and I thought I was hauling butt. But my sister raced. She's older than I. My father was a land speed racer. They owned a small automotive repair shop, had 2 daughters, and my family, we wanted to go racing, and so junior drag racing was it. And worked at the shop during the week, and we went to Bonneville twice a year. So I would only go to national events and see the big dogs race at Pomona, California. So when I was about 12, I was like, that's what I want to do. But there wasn't.
What was it? What was it about it? Do you remember?
I think it's when I definitely remember all of the things that stood out to me. One was just the entire experience. Yes, seeing cars go fast, rip 300 miles an hour, strong competition. Someone might blow up, someone smoke the tire. But then going down from the stands, which I would mark off and tape down with my sweatshirt and all that, see the mechanics working on the cars. And I didn't know the difference between a supercharger and a manifold and heads and headers. I just knew that it looked like this ballet of extreme intensity and teamwork. And I'm a person that thrives in teamwork scenarios. And then for the car to be back up in line and then run again, and the intensity never wavered. And I was like, I'm in the smallest of leagues of motorsports that you can possibly have, and I'm watching the professionals. And I had a goal to make it in a way that another female racer had not, and that was kind of one of my driving forces to create opportunities, anything I could, drive anything I could, work on anything I could, build cars, and then also partner with what I would consider the best brands in the world that shared the same vision. So if they had a vision and marketing aligned within drag racing, then then we would team up together and go and make things happen. So throughout my career, it's always been a progress of more competitive teams, crew chiefs, and really parts that bring us to world championships and contention. And for a while, I held the world record elapsed time, and we're working on getting that back maybe next year.
I mean, listen, I 14-time winner. I have a 3.6 second pass at over 330 miles per hour. And of course, mom, wife, all of those things right now. Ever wanted to do any other type of racing, or was it always this? Did someone say, hey, you should try NASCAR, you should try this, you should try that?
I think it's what you are, what you're exposed to.
Yeah.
So I never went to a NASCAR race growing up. There weren't any sprint cars. I think there might have been something in Paris. But it wasn't until I was 26 years old that I ran a vintage Formula Ford open wheel car for a couple races. That was through a sponsor. Did the Corey Cruiseman sprint car school. Had a blast doing that. But no, I was so streamlined in working and racing and the opportunities in drag racing that I never was exposed really to anything else. And then you realize, well, I'm 20-something. I'm way too old to start in any other series because the discipline starts at such a young age.
It does. It does. So you've never taken her for a ride around.
No.
So she's never experienced like what your former world was like, but you know what her world is like. That's not fair.
Well, she got a taste of it in a sprint car. We had a test session one night, and we actually brought 3 cars to the racetrack, and our sprint car driver at the time, him and I were bouncing around between the 3 cars, and I said, bring your stuff. I think we can probably get you a couple laps in a car, but the track conditions were way, way, way too good. It was way gripped up, and driving a 410 cubic inch wing sprint car, you have to really hustle these cars around. But it's hard to tell somebody that hasn't really done it to go out and hustle a car around. You have to sneak up, but there's a point where you've got to get them going for them to work right. And so she did an excellent job teaching me how to drag race. I did a terrible job of teaching her how to drive a dirt sprint car.
He literally just said, "Go. You're gonna be pushed off, and then flip the switch, and you just go." Not, hey, here's how you're gonna manage the throttle. Here's when you need to be. Here's what it's gonna feel like. You're gonna feel like you might tip over. You're gonna want the nose to be turn inward, turn right, go left. None of that. Just fed me to the open wolves and open tractor tires in the middle. No, it was a good time.
It was hard because we actually did something similar with Magnussen on the Formula One side. For the F1 documentary, and we took him to Gastonia, and we took him in a 360 wing sprint car down there. Same thing. This guy's never seen a dirt track before, never been on a dirt track, obviously, never been in a sprint car, and it's like, I don't even know what to tell him. And it was a track that you could run wide open around it, but you needed to know what you were doing to do that. And so really didn't know, he got to watch my laps, and it's like I didn't really know what to tell him until after he made his first run, and then we worked from there. But yeah, I'm a terrible teacher on trying to teach somebody new to drive.
Dude, you got a couple years. You got a son coming up. You better learn how to do it, man. You got there's like YouTube. I mean, you could find anything, Chat GPT, whatever you.
Well, we have
how to teach my son.
We have different technology now, though, too. We have iRacing now, which is huge.
Oh yeah.
And I went out to Millbridge this week and watched the kids race, and I was like, I literally came back to the hotel and I told Leah, I said, oh my God, I just saw our future. This is what we're probably going to be doing. And it was so cute to watch the kids race and watch them do it with their family. And it was a whole different perspective than what I've ever had before, different eyes looking at it now. But I think iRacing is something that's totally changed the game. I mean, if we'd have had that opportunity to get her in a simulator and let her run a car around on the simulator, it would have been easier to teach her how to drive out of the gate. But, it's not the way I learned. It's not how Kevin Harvick or Kyle Busch learned how to drive. We had to physically get in the cars and figure it out. But you can't just throw somebody in major league cars. And I had to learn it the hard way too when she taught me how to drive the Top Fuel car. I made 10 runs in a Top Fuel car before I said, this is the worst idea we've ever had. This is terrible idea. I don't need to be driving this race car.
Yeah, because I mean, I've asked, that's one thing, how do you, I have no idea how like cup drivers, right? You go 200 miles an hour at Talladega, inches off the bumper, but it is that buildup, right? We've been doing it since we were 5 and 8 and 10. You don't just jump in a car and go. but you did, right? So what was the fastest that you went the first time you got in one of these cars? And like, did you just get out and were you like, holy shit, what the hell did I just experience?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I did that. I tried to do what I thought was the right steps. I went down to Frank Holly's driving school for 2 days and then went back again after that, because I remember we got on the plane and Leah goes, all right, give yourself a grade of where you thought you of how you did over the course of the 2 days. I said a C. That I felt like there were a lot of things procedure wise I did wrong. Actually, driving the car wasn't the hard part for me.
This is a different car too. This is not a Top Fuel car. This is a super comp car at 890 indexed, but still a dragster, and still getting familiar with the Christmas tree and the stage lights and the beams.
I can tell why you fell in love with her. Like, just listening to her talk,
Yeah.
I'm in love with her right now. Talk more
Yeah.
car stuff, more car stuff.
Well, I drove the
very
alcohol car too,
strategic.
though.
Yeah.
That was a
Yes, after
220 mile an hour top
Yeah.
alcohol dragster. But there just were a lot of things that I didn't do right. The driving part was the easiest part for me. From getting on the gas to get to the finish line, physically driving the car, that was the easiest part for me. The hardest part was all the things that you have to do that people don't see to make it happen. They think you just roll up there, you do a burnout, you back up, you stage, you go down the track. There's so many more things.
In seconds.
In seconds, and the cadence of it is important, and because the amount of fuel that they burn and the weight of the fuel is the heaviest fuel with nitromethane of any fuel on the planet. So went there for 4 days total, 2 separate trips, and then went to Las Vegas to test. Now keep in mind, Don Schumacher owns all this equipment, the cars. So he owns it, says it's a great idea. The girl I'm dating that feel like likes me a lot says this is a great idea. And we go there, I'm like, well, this must be a good idea then. And I literally made 4 runs in 2 days with Leah's car at Las Vegas. The fastest I ran was 318 miles an hour. And
Jeez.
the first couple runs, and it's hard because when we go to a NASCAR track, for example, if you want to run half throttle around the track, you could do that and work your way up and sneak into it. You cannot do that in these cars because there's timers and everything else that make pieces and parts move, and timing and fuel flow and this and that. So when that light changes, you have to hit the gas wide open and hold it there unless something happens. So the way that they sneak up on it is, the first cone that the fans see is a 330 cone at 330 feet. The next one's at 600 feet and 660 feet, and then 1,000 foot, and then the cone's at the finish line at 1320 on a quarter mile. But so they just sit there and do it in increments. You do a short run, and then if you feel comfortable, then you go to the next cone that's further down. But the important thing of it is not just doing it to that. It's if they say go to the 330 cone, they're going to look on the data and see where you lifted. So if you go, yeah, I lifted at 330, and they go, no, you didn't. You went 500 feet. That's bad.
You got to know where you're at on the track.
Yeah, or if you're going to 330 and you lifted at 200 feet, that's bad. So I remember the first time he goes, take it to the 330 cone, and I thought I did, and I lifted at 220 feet because it was going so fast. I thought I was already at the cone. And so I was 110 feet off.
It must have been cool for you to learn something new, right? Like, I mean, you just challenge yourself, and
that's been the most exciting part of the whole process and journey is, I get to learn a whole new discipline that, once again, anytime I changed into a different type of car, he's not going to figure this out. He'll be terrible. He won't win in this. But that was a driving force. But the best part about it was getting to do it with my wife, and we weren't married at the time, but to have her teach me how to do it. And I tell everybody she is me 17 years earlier. There's so many things that I did 17 years ago, and she goes through it. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I know the answer to this.
Yeah.
And I know how this turns out, but I also know 17 years ago, somebody told me what to do and how to do it. It was not a good idea.
Yeah.
So I just sit on my hands and exercise my right to remain silent. But it was really fun to work with her and listen to somebody that's done it her entire life, and take somebody that doesn't know anything about it and work with me and get me to the position that we're in right now.
How are you feeling, by the way? Because I know it was a big hit this week, and I know I read that you said you didn't really kind of weren't aware. But I was talking to someone last night. I did the Speedway Children's Charity, the Catwalk for a Cause. I was like, hey, I'm talking to Tony tomorrow. Anything what would you want to know? And they're like, how does it feel to hit the wall at, over 300 miles compared to what you do in a cup car?
Still don't really know what it feels
Yeah.
like. It
Yeah.
happened, obviously. The contact happened at 240 miles an hour. We
Oof.
both had the parachutes out. We were both decelling. Doug and I raced in USAC, with sprint cars and midgets years ago. He won the 94 USAC Sprint Car Championship. I beat him for the championship in 95, and then both of our directions went opposite directions. I went the IndyCar NASCAR route, and Doug went drag racing, and so we didn't get to race against each other again until last year. But I have that confidence that I knew after it was all over with. They said the second thing that I asked was, "How's Doug?" And they said the first thing Doug asked was, "How was I?" So it shows the camaraderie and the difference in drag racing and how the drivers are with each other versus other forms of motorsports. You really can't mess with each other. There's a couple little things you can do to annoy each other in the staging process, but after that, you're in your own lanes. You can't cross over into the other lanes anyway. So drivers don't really get mad at each other, and it really is a fraternity. I mean, from day one that I started going to the races with her,
So cool.
all the drivers in the pro class, hey, welcome, glad to see you here, hope you have a great time. And now I'm racing with these guys, and even the guys that I'm racing with still offer advice and help.
That's so cool.
And we all care about each other. It's just a big racing family. Again, it's just another extension of it. But the learning process has been fun.
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed it. It's by far, I feel like one of the hardest things that I have had to learn, because everything else I drove in motorsports, whether it was IndyCar, NASCAR, dirt cars, sports cars, all fit into this giant bubble. And there were a lot of things that correlated between all of them. You go to drag racing, this is now over here all by itself on Fantasy Island, and you're waiting on Tattoo to walk through in the tuxedo welcoming you to the racetrack. It is just drastically different.
Totally.
So just the learning process, I like learning new things. I've always liked trying to figure out how do you not only learn how to do it, but how do you do it the right way, and how do you do it at the level that the pros are doing it. And when she was teaching me last year, when I started driving her car competitively, I told her, I said, I don't want to do this 98%. I said, if I'm missing something or I'm leaving something on the table, you have to have the confidence. Don't worry about making me mad. Come tell me.
She hold you accountable? Like,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But
do you
she
get
knows
mad at that?
No, not
okay,
at all.
That's awesome.
I absolutely want her to do that.
That's awesome.
And that was something, it really didn't even take much conversation between the two of us to do it. She knows how I operate when I'm racing, and I know how she operates when she's racing, and we want to be the best in our field. So I just had to one time reassure her, listen, if I'm missing something or if I'm screwing up, come tell me. I'm not going to be mad about it. I'm going to be mad if I do something wrong and you don't tell me. That's the only time I'm going to be mad about it, because I want to know how to do this the right way. So she was an excellent teacher and still is. I mean, there's times, I'm in 3/4 of the way through my second season, and there's still a lot of questions that I ask every weekend, things that you're taking, you're splitting hairs, and now you're taking the split hairs and trying to split those hairs again. So you're just trying to find, we're literally living in the thousandths and 10,000ths of a second. So that's what you're trying to constantly, as a driver, figure out. How can I gain a little bit here, a little bit there? What can I do? My job as a driver, how can I help our race team out? And she's excellent at that.
That's such a cool place to be, because like the guy that I'm dating right now, we've been together for 3 years. He used to be in television as well. And so sometimes he'll say, hey, maybe this or that. And I think in past relationships, she'd be like, I know what I'm doing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, don't tell me what to do. I know what I'm doing. But then you realize that this person is coming from a place where they know what they're talking about, and they're truly like, they have your best interest. Like they're really trying to help, not criticize, I guess. And that it does take a second, at least for me, to kind of switch my brain and go, okay, wait a minute. Don't get all upset about this. Like, this is good. This is a good place. But it does take some, I think, maturity, right?
We have some of those moments.
Yeah.
It's not at the racetrack.
No.
At all.
No.
It is literally when we drive streetcars and we're riding together in the same streetcar. That is the only time we have those moments where we butt heads about how we're driving.
How many of those moments are we allowed? 3.
I'm on a 3-strike rule.
So the deal is, if I'm driving, and no matter the drive, if it's 2 minutes, 22 hours, on the
22 hours?
or 2 hours.
Okay, I'm like, where are you going?
We're not
Is
driving
to
anywhere
get an
22 hours,
airplane.
by the way.
On his third remark, whatever that is, his third suggestion that I would have already been doing, or where I should park, or pass this person, or whatnot, on the third one, I pull over on the side of the road. Get out.
I love this.
You drive. And if he
No, I
doesn't
mean-
want to drive, then he doesn't need to say anything.
Literally has stopped traffic
I
on a
love
2-lane
it.
road and didn't. She says she pulls off. She pulls to the edge of the road, doesn't get off of the road, pulls to the edge, puts it in park, gets out, walks around the other side.
so
I'm
good.
so embarrassed at that point. I crawl over the console, which is not comfortable for me either. But that is literally the only time that I can't think of anything else in our daily life that we have that's anywhere near that. But.
No, I think on the racing front, a lot of it also has to do with, because drag racing is such a team sport. I mean, the performance of the race car, yes, has a lot to do with the driver doing their job and trying to have perfect cadence and timing. But other than that, it is your crew chiefs that set that up. And then you have your 7 crew members that are in charge of being perfect with all the maintenance of the parts and everything, precisely torqued and safe. So getting Tony to, over the years, understand some lulls that we're in, like we talked about, but then also understanding more of the technology, because he can have that patience and learn more about the race car and what's happening and why are we moving in a direction. That's a progress that I've enjoyed with him, is teaching him more about the cars and the sport and technology than he's ever had before. So basically, so it can ramp up his patience, because he's doing the best job he can in the car. And Tony, I promise, stay there, keep doing what you're doing. It's going to come up. It's going to come to you. And when it's there, we need you to be there.
I want to read this. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I did read this quote that you said that your dad had tough love, right?
Oh, yeah.
He said through your teen years, he pushed you and he would tell you that you weren't as good as the boys and you'll never make it. It's hard to be a woman in racing. I've covered NASCAR for over 20 years. I know that, there's very few women who make it at the top level. I do think that Tony, give you a lot of credit, sponsors, whatever, I'm sure dictated a lot, but giving Danica the chance when she came into the Cup Series. I mean, I feel like if there's a girl dad like comparison in racing, Tony would be like, he is a champion, I think, of all racers. Like, do you sense that?
I totally do. I think Tony's a champion of talent. And when I want to clear the air just a little bit. My dad was very supportive of me racing, but the way that he helped push me was that tough love of, I won't be as good as the boys if I don't put in more work than the boys. I would work out. I was 13 years old and got my first gym set with complete barbells and the bench and everything to work out at 5 a.m. before school, because I wanted to be a funny car driver, and like, you have to really manhandle them, and I wanted to be a bigger individual for that, and in every sense of my life, work harder. And that was his way of pushing me, of like, you're not working hard enough, you need to do more, wash the rigs, change the transmissions, rebuild your engines when he gets home from work.
You have to work harder as a woman. I'm sorry, you do. I think
everyone has to work hard in their own right, and something that took me a while to understand is, I might have had some animosity towards some other drivers on the track, of like maybe things that they were given or born into families and things like that. And it took me an understanding, we are all given our own path. We can't choose. We can't choose who we're born into, the family or advantages. You just make the most of what you have, and that kind of reshaped. And my dad, and I didn't know it at the time, was just trying to make me the strongest person I possibly could to reach my goal. So him saying, you're not going to make it and you'll never become a professional race car driver, it's because he knew actually how to turn my gears. But don't and don't.
I know nothing. I'm not even listening to this
idea.
Conversation right now.
I always say that everyone's going to get their entry into the room somehow, right? You might know somebody, you might be good looking, you might have a sister, brother, whatever. But if you don't work your ass off, you are not going to stay in that room. That room is going to get very small, and you're going to be kicked out. That's
comes
it.
down to the value that you add to whatever room that it is.
Yeah.
And so as long as you can help someone else's job become easier, better, return more for your partners, add performance to your race car, whether it be back end projects or front end with being, coachability. At the end of the day, take, everyone, if you had just a blanket over your face and exactly just your talents there on the track or behind the scenes, that's the environment that we work in. And so I think, coming to the question of Tony being, possibly a girl dad, we don't have that in the cards. We just have a little young boy now, but he
Yeah, I mean,
gives
like girl
people
dad, like
opportunity.
with like I just think I mean, you, like I said, like you're like, hey, exactly, talent. I don't care who it is, what it is. You know, we're gonna make this work. But that's a supportive type of person
Let's
to be
talk
around.
about Neil,
Well,
Tony's crew chief. Yeah,
but I think
what
at
you
the
did.
same time, you look at the sport of NHRA drag racing, it's got the most diversity of
Mm-hmm.
any form of motorsports in the world. I mean, and I remember going to the first U.S. Nationals that I went to with Leah, and she was done for the day. The guys are servicing the car, and, you know, everybody's calmed down, and they went through all the data of the runs. The crew chiefs are still working, but, you know, Leah's part as the driver had kind of dwindled down, and, you know, just talking to the guys while they're still working. She goes, "Hey, let's go." And I'm like, where are we going? She goes, "We're going up the starting line. We're going to watch the junior dragsters run." I'm like, "What are you talking about? What are we going to watch them for? We're going up there and watch these kids." I would say 60% of the drivers were girls.
Yeah, that's awesome.
60%, not 50%,
That's awesome.
not 10%. 60% of the kids that were driving those were girls. And so you sit there, and I learned a lot about Leah and her father and her family's past of racing, and listen to the stories. And it's like, now you sit and now you have eyes on it to see what she's talking about and going, this is different. This is drastically different than what Danica had to go through to get to NASCAR,
Yeah.
what all these
The
other
young
females
girls,
that
yeah.
are trying to come up
Mhm.
through. But I will say this, I'm really proud to see us in an era where Mobile One has been a great partner of ours, and they do an amazing job of supporting talented. They're not just throwing women in race cars to throw them in race cars. They're picking talented female race car drivers to drive in midgets, in late models, ARCA. They are helping change the history of our sport and what it means for females to be in motorsports. So, like I say, you go to a drag race, it's not just females driving the cars, it's females working on the cars. Leah used to do the dirtiest job of anybody in a team, and that's clutch dust everywhere. I mean, you look like Pigpen from Peanuts.
burn marks.
And burns because the clutch discs will get so hot they weld themselves together. So, I mean, you're seeing these women work on and tune race cars and go, this is a really cool atmosphere to be a part of. So I really like that. I don't know where you're going with Neil. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, just giving people a proper opportunity. So last year in Tony's rookie season of Top Fuel, that was Neil's. Oh, I'm sorry. Neil had been my crew chief for the 2 years prior. But
Co-crew chief.
Co-crew chief.
Yeah.
When we created TSR Nitro, we had elevated a co-crew chief into the number one position. And then when Tony was racing the car, I don't want to say a scary position, but there's enough eyeballs on Tony being in Top Fuel. You know, it's not just like rookie season, maybe he'll do okay.
Right.
But the eyeballs on the crew chief to be Tony Stewart, the pressure level of that was extremely high. And that's something that this wasn't a veteran crew chief that has multiple world championships underneath his belt. The pressure was on both sides, and to see them work together. But I think the highlight of that was when we hired him, we said, we are not going to let you fail. The support system is there. We know this is going to take time. And yes, do we hope that we do great right out of the gate? Absolutely. But when things got really tough, Tony was there and stayed true to his word.
Right.
And that now we are seeing the product of that, being second in points, first for most of the year, vying for this world championship, with a crew chief that is up against these veterans all the way across the board and has elevated his career to a level where other teams are trying to take him. And we're not going to let that happen.
And I don't think he wants to go anywhere. I mean,
No.
We started this together, and you know, he sees the value. We went through a tough slump last year, and literally got to a spot toward the end of the year where we're sitting there going, we don't want to make a change, but I mean, this is a performance-based industry. It's like we might have to make a change, and you know,
Change meant also finding somebody to help.
right.
What can we afford and what can we do?
And so it wasn't about letting somebody go. It was actually just a change of bringing someone else in to help change the dynamic, and it's proven to be the right call.
I love the word change because I want to get back to you, right? I think so. I worked in NASCAR for 20 years. I got pregnant expandable fire suit, worked all through my pregnancy, true story. And believe me, when you're pregnant, the last thing you want to do is be wearing a onesie. It was quite attractive. But I was out there until I think like maybe 29 or 30 weeks when I was no longer allowed to travel. And I remember walking in, I don't know which crew chief it was, but I remember them saying to me, so what, what are you going to do when the babies are born? Like, what do you, what's going on? I'm like, I'm coming back to work. And they were like, what? They're like, what about your kids? And I was like, what about me? This is not just something that I fell into. This is my career. I've worked really, really hard. This is what I do. And I think that in the past, so many women would not have kids. It's totally fine. We're a low-key podcast. So many women did have to sacrifice not having children and putting off having a family and that balance for their career. So what was the decision for you? Did you always want kids? Did you kind of just say, hey, I met the man I love that I want to have a child with? And that's a hard thing to walk away from. That is a whole nother layer that a lot of people don't understand.
I've always liked kids, never got to spend a large amount of time with them, just racing all the time. But then when I met Tony, and given our age, and actually when we were dating, like within the first couple of weeks, we talked about, would you like to have kids? And we both said yes, someday. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. Someday comes very fast.
It does.
You just keep kind of pushing it off and pushing it off. And we were married and got to a point, we've started this new team, and I'm like, I would like to be able to start our family. And we both agreed with that. And because a proper situation and scenario presented itself where we could, then I was able to stand up and push through and I guess make that happen. But one of the most difficult things was stepping outside of the race car, announcing it to the world at PRI that I'm not pregnant, but I plan to be, in the hopes of, and we did have trouble on my own side to get pregnant, that telling the world about those personal plans.
Yeah.
And having to do that because there was not any type of protocol in motorsports in place of there is for injury, there is for COVID, for basically everything else. So I was pot committed. We got pregnant, and then in that time, I was able to make a brand new rule with the NHRA.
Policy change,
The policy change. Basically, if a female driver gets pregnant during the season, that no different than injury protocol, a replacement driver can come in and carry on those same points.
That's awesome, girl.
So because without that, you continuously always have to make that decision. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I'm not going to get pregnant. Okay, I hope to. Well, what if you don't? Then now you're 1 or 2 years not behind the wheel, involved in the sport. You've lost a ton of momentum. So it wasn't the policy was not, it didn't affect me in any way because I was on the old policy. But the hope is for it to help the Maddie Gordons and the young females coming up, and that they can have
They don't
partners.
have to choose,
They
right?
don't have to choose. And we hope that it spreads throughout the other forms of motorsports, the same thing, because there are so many females coming up. And from the corporate America standpoint, yes, you might think that a female driver is more marketable. And it might be, given that market, whatever that product is and that fan base, and they are able to speak to a different audience to some degree. But also there's that behind the scenes where a company might go, not sure about a female driver. What if she gets pregnant? Might go a safer route, a more committed route, and then a female loses out on that opportunity. Same thing with crew chiefs. I mean, a crew all the way across the board. So what it does is it just gives security to the partners, to the fans, to the driver, to the teams, that what everyone works so hard for are points to win a world championship all the way around. And this just makes that seamless.
She worked really hard on that aspect because we had tough conversations to where I realized at one point, if I didn't change my thought process, I was hurting our relationship.
Because, in what way? What thought process?
Because I'm the owner. I'm the car owner of the car.
Yeah.
And so for us, it was, she'd made the decision, and in the conversations of it, we were talking about timing. Mm-hmm. Because if this happens, she gets pregnant in the middle of the season. Well, now it's the last half of that season that goes sideways, and the first half of the next season. So now you've interrupted 2 full seasons of it from an owner's perspective. Mm-hmm. And literally, I remember we talked probably 10 minutes one day about it. And in the 10th minute of that, I realized if I don't get out of car owner mode and get in husband mode, I may not have to worry about any of this. But, and she was right. And it really changed my frame of mind. And then we were able to use that. And Leah did such a fantastic job working with NHRA. And I really hope other professional forms of motorsports take notice to what work went into it. It wasn't just Leah. There were other females in NHRA in the pro classes that all got together, but Leah spearheaded and got the ball rolling and worked with NHRA to make this happen. But if we're going to get more females in motorsports, more policies like what happened with NHRA have to come into play, because we had to plan it to make it happen during the season.
Yeah.
Not everybody gets that choice and has that luxury. We got, like she mentioned, we got lucky.
Yeah.
The timing worked out for us, but there's people that work for years to try to start a family, and it's ups and downs and the highs and lows and disappointments of it. You don't get the opportunity to pick all the time. So for these female drivers, they don't have to choose between a career and a family. They get to have both now, which, I mean, to see what she has went through these last 2 years, to go through a pregnancy and now go through being at the track, breast pumps, and all the stuff that she has to do just to be a mom. And then on top of that, she is still working with this entire race team and doubling up her workload with our son at the same time. She's a way stronger woman than I will ever be as a man doing what she's doing. So it gives me a greater appreciation for not only what she has to do as a profession, but what she has to do to start a family, to maintain a family, and to still keep her career, just like what you're going through.
Yeah, it's incredible, because I think, I don't know, as a woman, you just do it, right? But then you stop, and I think my kids came home from the hospital, had a C-section. You know, they were in the NICU for a while, and you're just kind of like, go, 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 go. And then all of a sudden, I feel like the realization kind of hits you of what your body's been through and what you've done, and you've created a life, and how incredibly strong you are as a woman. You know, you don't really, I don't think that we give ourselves enough credit. Thank you. Because it's a lot, like, and not just physically, but mentally, kind of always thinking about things and having to do things, because a lot of times the mom is the primary parent
default
as well.
Absolutely. Yes.
I'll tell you a funny story. So you talk about timing, and this direct, I don't know if I told you this story before. I may have. So when I was trying to get pregnant, we knew that we had to get pregnant between like February and June, I think it was, in order to have the babies in the off season so that I could go back to work in February. And so Eldora, Prelude for a Dream, 2009 rained out. Right? I think it was 2009 that was rained out. John Edwards and I sitting at Outback Steakhouse drinking beers afterwards, right? I wake up the next morning, I take my temperature, and I'm ovulating. And this was like literally the last week that we could do it. It was like right on the edge. So I was supposed to fly from whatever airport we go out of, Eldora, to Charlotte, catch a plane, and go to Nashville, so that like I could go to the Xfinity Series race. And I called my husband and I was like, I'm coming home.
We got to get it on.
So Eldora and Tony Stewart are directly related to when I had my twins. Because you think about it, like if I didn't have that one moment where I took an earlier flight and got home, then I wouldn't have my babies, right? Like I wouldn't have my twins.
There's a lot of stories of Eldora has to do it.
That's a good point.
There's been a lot of children conceived at Eldora Speedway. So.
They weren't conceived at Eldora, right? But it was directly related, and I tell people that story a lot because I worked that event, and if it hadn't been rained out, we would have probably been there till 3:00 in the morning or whatever, and I wouldn't have taken an earlier flight. I would have just gone straight to Nashville. So I think that was the year that it was rained out, but. It was, yes, that's my story. Okay, so next year you're coming back. Like when are you getting back in the car? I know you've tested. So when is your official start date?
So my official start date will be the first race of the 2026 season, which is Gainesville, Florida, early March. And it'll be all of that entire season.
Countdown's on.
It is, yes. We have we'll do some test sessions in Gainesville earlier in that month. But then that's really it. There would be opportunity to test this year, but really the focus is on the championship. And so yes, we can test some systems in the car, but we like to have it be actually Tony. So I'm not going to take any of those opportunities this year. I did earlier this week after Tony's crash, so that he could recover all the way. So I guess technically I got a little bit of testing in, but That is
I think
my plan.
they say 499 days that you hadn't been in a car when you tested in
Yes,
March.
that's right.
Crazy.
And I mean, it did feel like that. They say it's just like getting on a bike and riding. Well, to some degree of what's natural to do inside the car, but your processing speed for your brain, you're not doing anything that's even remotely close to that. Actually, you've got lullabies in your head, and you've had a child and everything else. So when I stabbed the gas the first time, I knew exactly where I was at by the tree. Got to 100 feet, about 150 to 400 feet, I knew my brain was behind. But that's actually what I was looking forward to from testing, to gauge where I was at and what type of work do I need to do to prepare for full-time racing and to be at my A game, not just be at the game, but be all the way up. But yeah, my next year.
What's your cadence like in your brain? Like, tell me, like when you sit in the car and you're getting ready to go, like, is it a
We
1,
do not
2,
have a
3?
2-hour show here.
No, like do you have like a mantra that you say to yourself before you go? Do you have like I covered football, and like offensive linemen would say it was almost like they could feel like a cadence, like a dance, like boom, 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 right? Or something like that. Do you guys have those inside the race car when
I have pump up music
in your brain?
That I listen to in the tow vehicle before I get fully suited. It's usually it's hip hop and hard hitting DMX.
You're my kind of girl. You are.
But that's me next year. Leah Pruett racing the Direct Connection Top Fuel Dragster, same team, same crew chief, Neil Strasbaugh.
Awesome.
That is me. Tony, what do you got?
Big news came out this morning. Yes. So what does this mean? Are you guys going to get to race against each other?
I get to still play. So
Yes.
yeah, it's and I said from day one I would never race against my wife, just because I felt like for our relationship, it was truly a bad idea. I mean, because if we get lined up against each other during a race weekend, somebody's going to win and somebody's going to lose. And like I said, I feel like Leah is me 17 years earlier, and I would not want to lose to my spouse. But I also know that when we've bought couches that I made sure I've laid on them to see if they're comfortable in case I get kicked to the couch.
Oh,
So,
that's important.
but I'll be honest, I think we've had and all of this has happened literally in the last couple weeks, honestly. I knew once Leah got in, I wasn't gonna just go back to standing on the sideline and just being a car owner. A driver wants to drive. So
it's amazing.
I had already started working on opportunities, but something came along in the last 2 weeks that changed the direction of that even further. And Richard Freeman and his group at Elite Motorsports acquired a Top Fuel team from another driver that sold his operation. And now I'm going to get an opportunity at some point. I would be ecstatic if we went the whole season and never had to race each other. But in the event that happens, I've truly, in the last couple of days, we've talked about it a couple of times, and I'm literally excited about it. I'm not worried about one of us being mad or not mad. It's somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose.
Well,
we both know
you're
that.
supportive of it, just like what you said, right? You go check on each other because it's the community, right? I mean, of course you want to kick your husband's ass, but sorry, but
No, I if she doesn't go
yeah.
into it with that attitude, I'll fire her because she's still driving my race car. So
I want to see him and that team succeed so much. We already have a marketing alliance with Elite Motorsports that was announced last week, and then this team, as the personnel is currently being built up, and a lot of the parts are the same, and these aren't two separate islands of teams. Even though Tony Stewart owns TSR Nitro and will be driving for Elite Motorsports, there will be a great working relationship between the two. And I hope that we do run against each other, because that means, if we don't, that means you're never making it to the final round. You got
all right, let me rephrase my statement. I hope we're on the opposite sides of the bracket from each other and we meet in the finals then. So
I just love that so much. That's really cool. It's like,
it's gonna be fun.
Honestly, like I said, I've known Tony for a really long time, and like to see, I find you so fascinating, Tony, because you have been just so many. It's almost like a chameleon, right? You go to the next thing and you adapt. You go to the next thing and you adapt. I remember when you walked away from racing and started the team. I was like, we haven't heard from Tony. Like, let's go sit down and see what he's been doing. And then this is why I wanted to do this as well, because it's like now you're a dad and you're married, and it's like I've seen you sort of like grow in 20 years and just kick ass at every single thing that you've done. So I just think and
he's a great dad.
I just think it's awesome.
He really is. He spends, besides like the diaper changes, and
he doesn't do that.
But that's okay.
I've done 2.5.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
2.5.
What is a half?
I know, that's what everybody asks. I said, well, how do you change 2.5? End of the day, diaper off, clean up, hand off to mom. Mom takes to the bath. So
Yeah.
I only had to do the first half.
What was it like
No.
when you saw, like, were you like, I'm, don't have to answer certain questions, but like delivery, were you right there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it C-section?
Barely
Or is it?
right there.
No.
It was regular?
I-
Mid-race,
I
in
was
the middle
at
of racing.
we were at our last race of the season at Pomona, and Leah didn't go to, that was the only event that Leah did not physically go to. And I remember on Saturday morning before our third qualifying run, I'm doing a hospitality meet and greet and talking to our people, and the lady that oversees our entire program is Kelly Antonelli. She's about 5'4", and she walks up and she put her hand on my shoulder, and she never puts her hand on my shoulder. And I thought, okay, this is weird. She goes, Leah's on her way to the hospital. She's in Arizona, but Glendale, Arizona, over by Phoenix. And that was not the plan. That was not the hospital we had made plans to go to.
Mhm.
But the doctors that we were using, the group we were using, were in Glendale that weekend. The following week, they were moving to the other hospital, and that's when Dominic was due. So she puts her hand on my shoulder and just calmly, like a mother would, says, everything's fine, but Leah's on her way to Glendale to
Your
go
water
to the hospital.
broke? You were like...
Yes, it had broke earlier that night, but I didn't really know it had.
Yeah.
I just thought, other things. And
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was there. I've done it. Yeah, exactly. You're like, nope. I don't know. Is it?
I had gone to the park for our dog's training camp basically that morning, and the dog's not doing what he's supposed to at all. He's totally erratic. And then the trainer was like, I told her about the night. And she's like, girl, your water broke. You need to go to the hospital. So Glendale being 3.5 hours away, my friend Dara and I, we drove. Dara's driving so much like a grandma, 55, 60 miles an hour. Called the doctor. I said, I need to drive. She said, no problem. So I drove myself
Oh, my gosh.
at a proper speed to the hospital. Told
I love
Tony.
this girl. She's like, no, I got it. They got a wheelchair. She's like, I'm good. I'll walk. I'm good.
Told Tony, continue to qualify. I mean, they've got still a great shot at winning the race. Need to improve their qualifying time. Make your Q4. Everything's fine. And then Tony flew after Q4. Actually, you waited a long time. I heard a lot of people say that they were like, go on, Tony.
This was before Q3, and Leah said, you're fine. We're still driving. No drama. She goes, go do your qualifying run. I said, okay, I'll call you right afterwards, see what's going on. Called her. Everything's going fine. She's there. Nothing's changed. She goes, go ahead and make your fourth qualifying run. Okay. All right. Are you sure? Yes, I'm positive you're fine. Okay. Make the fourth qualifying run. Get out, get back. Call her right away. What's going on? She goes, everything's fine. We've started the process, blah, blah, blah. And we had a potential sponsor that Leah and I were supposed to meet with. And I said, hey, remember that meeting we were supposed to have? That guy is here. She goes, you have time.
Oh, my God.
She goes, go ahead and meet with him. So I'm literally in hospitality meeting with this guy.
Gosh.
And our crew is sitting there servicing the car. And they're like, hey, numbnut, get your ass out of here. And I'm like, I got permission. I'm
She
fine.
told me it's okay.
So I spent about 15 minutes with this guy, and then finally the guys are getting irate, literally getting frustrated and mad at me. They think they don't understand that we've had this conversation.
Yeah.
And they're like, you have to go now. And this guy is, and I told this guy, I said, yeah, my wife's in labor and I'm going to be going to the hospital in a minute, but she wanted me to stay and talk. And
We're committed.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
I mean, it went a
but
long
you're also
way.
an independent woman who's like, I got this.
Yeah.
I'm good.
And, and it really went a long way with him. But he's like, yeah, he goes, I appreciate it, but you need to get out of here.
Yeah.
So the guys are screaming at me to get out of here. Kelly gets us on the golf cart, gets us to the car. The airport is literally right beside the racetrack. Fly there. And I tell people this because I think it really shows who she is as a competitor and a racer. I cannot tell you the first thing that she said when I walked in the room because I don't remember it. I do remember, and I will always, no matter how many concussions I have, I can tell you what the second thing out of her mouth was. And it was, what is the drop dead time that you have to leave by in the morning to get to the track on time?
Oh, my goodness.
I'm
For
like,
race day.
what the hell is wrong with you? I don't think that's really important right now.
Yeah.
And then I went to figuring out what that time was. But
8:30
literally,
a.m.
yeah, we had to no later than 8:30 leave the hospital to go to the airport to fly and then get back into the track on time. But
So I asked the doctor, what's
yeah.
the chances of having this baby by 8:30 a.m. tomorrow? He's like, well, we can try. And I kind of scrapped my whole birth plan. Okay, let's do Pitocin and all that jazz.
Yeah.
And had Dom at 4:43 in the morning. So we got it done, had the baby. Tony got to spend time with the baby, and then on his way to the track, and it was so cool. The plane, I got video. The plane's flying over the racetracks. It's right next to Pomona Raceway. So everyone has warmed up the car. They are ready for eliminations. Plane lands. Tony comes into the pit. Says Tony Stewart on the side of his car. He takes duct tape, puts it over, writes Dad on it, and goes to the semifinal racing that day. Fantastic day of racing. I'm watching, holding Dom, screaming at the computer all day long, watching my team go rounds. It was an awesome birth, awesome day.
Yeah. One of the crew guys.
You get emotional over there, Tony?
Shush.
I love that.
Telling a story.
Because I think I want to know 55. You're 55 when Dom was born.
54. Yeah.
That flight. That your son is going to be born and you are alone or whoever's on the plane with you with your thoughts.
I'm in the back of the plane by myself going, and like Leah said, I mean, I'm not nervous because she's calm, cool, and collected. She goes, come on,
Dad.
Yeah, I'm excited. I have no idea. I'm scared to death about all of it, every bit of it.
We all are, though.
Don't know what can happen during delivery and everything else. So, but I remember her delivering. I remember being able to hold him for a minute. She got to hold him for an hour. We do put him on the table, weigh him, measure him, all the stuff. And we sit down, and it's kind of like, I got a couple hours till I got to leave for the airport. And, they're taking care of him. Leah's got Dom. And so I'm like, oh crap, I got to do dad stuff here. So I'm texting both of our families, and he's here, and sending photos and numbers and all the stuff of what's going on. And we get to the airport, get on the plane, and it's an hour flight. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to show up, and, we know Fox is going to be on top of it. They know the story and know what's going on. They know I've left to go there. I'm like, oh my God, there's so many people that I have got to text, because if they find out on TV and I didn't text them. I mean, I'm literally on 2.5 hours of sleep, before she delivered, and going, I've got to get, I felt like I was working a full-time job. And I remember
didn't even really have time to think about your own emotions, huh?
No, I mean, it's just plow through and do what we do. And I remember the moment she talked about, I mean, we have satellite on internet on the plane, but under 10,000 feet, you lose it. So get to a spot where I can't send anything else out. And I've got one in queue ready to go, but it's not going to work till we hit the ground. And I'm watching as we go, and I'm like, oh, there's our pit. And I see a group of people standing outside the pit, and I can't see them close enough to realize that they're all standing out there filming the plane coming across. But I remember coming on the golf cart, and, they've got congratulations strung up in our pit and everything else. And both Matt Hagan's funny car team, that's part of TSR, and our group are all in our pit together and clapping. And, it was hard not to be emotional with that, but it was really a neat moment for me to put duct tape over my name. My name didn't matter at that point, because, for 5 hours now, I went from being Tony Stewart, a professional race car driver, to Tony Stewart, a new dad.
Yeah.
So it meant enough to me to do that and be proud of that. But it was kind of funny, because it was the first time in my professional racing career that when I got beat in the semifinals, that I didn't care I got beat. I wasn't happy I got beat, but I was 0% of me that was disappointed and upset about it, because I'm like, I get to change clothes and go be with my family now.
Yeah.
So, but one of the coolest things out of that whole day was that, Leah's lounges, we have 2 race trailers per team. It takes 2 rigs to have all the equipment, and pieces and parts to run these things. And so Leah's lounge, has her car number 777. And so they before we went to Gainesville this year, the guys cut that piece off of one of the sides of the car that I'd covered my name up and had the duct tape and dad on it, and put it over her numbers there, that it was my lounge. And so it's like every time I go up there and I see that, it reminds me of the day that he was born, and
awesome.
That we're a racing family. I mean, we qualified, we went to the hospital, she had a baby, we came back and we raced our ass off, and Yeah, it was just a really proud day. People can tell you what it's like to go through all that stuff, and you don't know till you do it. But it was such a cool moment, and to be able to share it with our race team, and so many fans came up during the day and were so excited for us, and people I'd never even met that were fans of ours. And you realize in moments like that how much of an impact you've made in other people's lives and entertaining them, but how much they appreciate you as not just a race car driver, but how much they appreciate you as a human being at the same time, and how much they well wishes for her and couldn't wait to meet him. And so for us to get to go to the racetrack every week, and Leah's really good about, people getting to, we don't go to the ropes and just, it's not like he's out doing autograph sessions, but, she'll bring him out to see me, and I'm out by the people, and the race fans get to see him. And it is so cool to see how excited not only the fans, but our peers, from other teams, crew guys from other teams come up, and they're so excited to see him each week and be around him. And it just makes you proud of the racing community and what we're really a part of as a big picture.
I do want to set the record straight, because we talked about it so much during pregnancy, if Tony was going to be in the delivery room, and he had a whole plan of
how to not.
You didn't want to be in there.
Case of beer, sports center.
I said a little cooler in the lobby, sports center, sandwich, drinks there. I'll be just fine. You let me know when it's all over.
You were there?
Oh,
yeah. Straight to the room and cut the cord, everything.
Yeah.
It's
all
crazy.
The things he said he wouldn't do.
I had a C-section, but I had a girlfriend who I was in the delivery room when her baby was born, and it was like, it's one of those life-changing things where it's like, when you talk about the miracle of life, you're like, whoa, and there's a lot going on, but at the same time, you're like, holy cow, that's
your perspective. Mine was, I saw things that I didn't want to see. There were, and not much.
It looks a little different during that whole process.
I accidentally looked somewhere I shouldn't have looked one time for a fraction of a second. But the majority of the time I was concerned about her. And watching the pain she's going through, and with racing, if there's something wrong with the car, you fix it. That's what we do. We find solutions, we fix it, we correct it, and go on. And it was really a eye-opening experience of sitting there going, there's nothing I can do. I can't help right now.
Yeah.
I can't fix this for her. I can't help her. All I can do is just be there. And again, it was another example of she's a way stronger woman than I will ever be as a man. So it makes you proud of her. I'm proud of her for so many aspects of her life, and there's constantly new things that come up that just reinforce that belief.
Yeah. You guys have given each other a gift that no one else can give, right? The gift of a child. And I always say that when I had my boys, life started to make sense. Like everything just kind of made sense, because I love being a mommy. It's my favorite job. My kids are my besties. I want to talk just a little bit about you guys and your relationship and then we'll kind of wrap it up. I loved your Instagram post. Our love story is one of a kind, and so is this day. That was from your wedding. I think you posted that on Facebook. But I heard a story that somebody put you guys on like a FaceTime or like a call the first time that you guys talked, and you ended up talking for like an hour. Is that accurate?
Yes, that would be Don Perdome.
That's right.
Yes, the guys were on a guys trip at Ron Pratt's place, and Perdome and Gordon, Clint Boyer, and Perdome and I have been close for a number of years. And yeah, all the guys are chiming in. They're playing pool and doing a whole bunch of other stuff, and then Don's phone gets taken away by Tony. Tony had grabbed it.
Had you already started like maybe going like, hey, this might be a woman?
No, it was weird, because literally we were on the same trip a year earlier, and Snake goes, you guys need to meet. Well, I was engaged. Leah was married.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I told him that. And he goes, no, I don't mean like that, man. He goes, you guys would just get each other. You guys just need to meet. And he left it at that. And it kind of just stopped there. And then a year later, we're back there, and he gets her on FaceTime, and he'd said it again that night, right before he called her. And my situation had changed. I wasn't in that relationship anymore. Her relationship had changed, and she's in a transition. And I'm like, hey, let me talk to her for a second. So I get his phone away, and proceeded to melt his battery down to virtually nothing.
What did you guys
by
talk
then.
about the first time? Like,
Oh my, I can't.
I don't even remember.
Yeah.
just an hour, just hit it off, huh?
Yeah, it was funny because the first time we physically got to meet each other was at an appearance for motorsport. It was
After this conversation.
an auto parts
Okay.
deal, and she was there for Pennzoil. I was there for Mobile One, and of all times to be early for anything, I mean, I was late for everything my entire life, except for our wedding.
Again, yes.
I was on time for our wedding, and I was on time for our child's birth, but got to an appearance like 30 minutes early. So I'm the first one there, and Mario Andretti's there, and there's other drivers representing other brands that are doing the same appearance. And I was the first one there, and it was just me. And then Leah comes in with 6 people, an entourage of
Never
six.
have 6 people either. I'm okay.
But it
I'll
was
take
funny.
water,
It was funny. She goes, "I promise it doesn't take that many people to handle me." And we sat there and got to talk for probably 30 minutes before everybody got
Were
there.
you
and we all,
nervous talking
oh
to
yeah,
her?
absolutely, no doubt. But
I was not. He's talking about a sprint car motor program that they had just built, and I'm like, I don't know if he knows this. Don't really know anything about sprint cars.
But the funny part was they start taking all of us to the areas of the arena that we were all in different areas, and no more than her and the entourage got up, and there's 8 people from Mobile One that showed up that was my entourage to take me, and she goes, "I promise it doesn't take this many people." I'm like, in my head, I'm like, it takes every one of them that you got to handle me. So, but it was funny. We Mario and I were inside the building by the doors, the main doors, and Leah and Joey were out with the other group outside, and we all had our handlers to make sure everything's all right. But the company that had hired everybody to come do this had their own people, and kid comes up, and young kid, and he's like, "Hey, do you need anything?" I said, "Yeah." I said, go over to Leah Pruett's line and get her number for me. So
that's the move, huh?
I send him over to her line, and he comes back, I don't know, he comes back probably 10, 15 minutes later, and he hands me one of her autograph cards, and it's got 777 on it.
I'm like, car number.
Girl, that's,
I'm like,
that's
all
the
right.
move. Oh my God, that is hilarious.
So it was like, okay, game on. So
I love
I wrote something on one of my cards and sent him back, and now this kid's like, he's into it now. He's like, all right, I'm part of something now.
Oh my God, I love that.
So the rest of the appearance just totally blew by because we were just sending
Having so
messages
much
back
fun.
and
Just
forth
flirting.
to each other.
Just
Old school
flirting.
notes.
Yeah, like kids.
I love that. What was your first date? Like real date? Because do people even date anymore? Like it's usually like big, like people like go with groups and stuff like that.
Yeah, after we ended up talking for quite a while, and then fast forward to March, COVID had started to happen.
Because you
but
guys
not-
spent COVID together, right?
We did. That was our second date, but our first date.
Second date lasted 8 months.
Yeah,
Or however
4.5
long.
months.
Yeah,
For
we're
real.
long. That's crazy.
But Daytona Bike Week was our first. I had a Monday off after Baby Gators. Tony was racing, and
I was literally at the Florida and Alabama state line, and she's at Gainesville, and we're talking, and I'm got her on speaker, and I'm looking on Google Maps. I'm like, shit, I could be there in 6.5 hours.
I'm like, what? Yeah. Oh, is he really going to come? Is he really 6.5 hours? And then there showed up.
Drove through the middle of the night. I mean, I left at midnight, and I think at 1 o'clock she sends me a message. She goes, "Are you really coming?" And I took a photo. I'm driving a 48,000-pound, 45-foot motorhome.
I'm gonna get there
On the
I'm
peg.
the way.
I'm literally, and I literally was running 90 mile an hour in this motorhome, and it says I'll be there in 6.5 hours. But I took a picture driving and sent it to her. I said, GPS says I'll be there at 6:30, and 6:30 on the nose she calls, and I had just got parked. Was pushing the slide outs out so I could at least take a nap, and she embarrassed me because she goes, "Well, I got up. I'm going on a run." I said, "Well, you go do that. I'm going to get a nap." I said, "Beat on the door at 12 o'clock, and it won't take me 10 minutes to get ready, and we'll go." And so we went down to the university, Gainesville there, and had lunch at a Mexican restaurant, and that went really well. And we're like, now what do we do? Not really a lot to do in Gainesville, but she goes, "Have you ever been to Bike Week?" I'm like, "No, I've always wanted to go, but we always have races during that." And so we literally got an Uber, and I had a friend that I knew was at Bike Week. Well, he wasn't at Bike Week, but his motorhome was there. He had bikes there, and I said, "Hey, I've got a friend, and coming over there for the evening." He goes, well, I'm not there, but he goes, call this number. These people are going to show you around. So he didn't poke around who I was bringing or anything like that. But we went to Bike Week and rode around on Harleys all night with this couple and had a great time. And
I dressed up. I got a wig. I mean, this is our first date. We don't want people spotting out Tony.
Isn't that fun though when you put wigs on sometimes? Like, because you could just totally cut loose. Like,
it's
if
fun
I go
for
to
her.
Yeah.
It was not fun for me.
Well, wigs can be fun for you too, Tony.
Well, she got her ensemble for.
But I feel like you could just
date.
you can let loose and you don't have any like sometimes like if we go to like a concert or something, you just put on a wig.
Yeah, but what wig is Tony gonna put on?
I mean,
to blend in with the crowd.
And
I can
everything-
blend in with that crowd pretty well.
Literally everything I had was branded.
Oh, God.
So we go to a sporting goods store. I get a non-branded hat, get a hoodie to wear. I stuck out like a sore thumb at Bike Week. Like I didn't have biker gear on, so I definitely stood out.
They're like, who is this woman that Tony's with?
Oh no, it was really entertaining, and she had a real fun time with this part because we're sitting there drinking beer, at the different bars, and I'm standing there and meeting people, and she'd just walk behind there and look over and wink and go, kind of ha ha ha, she's invisible and I'm sitting here like a spotlight on me. And so, but we had a great time there, and
we make sure every year.
Oh, it's
that's
cool.
that is something that's really important to us. We go to Bike Week at least one day every year.
That's awesome.
To remind ourselves of our first date.
When did you know, like how long, like both of you guys, like was it, I mean, obviously we've all been in relationships before, it's like that hot and heavy kind of moments where they say, I don't know, I think it's like 90 days. It's kind of like being on a euphoric high. And then once that comes down, I don't know what they say. But what was the moment that you were like, shit, this is different, man?
Well, you said the key word. Sorry, I'm jump in on this because you said the key word different.
Yeah.
I remember when she left because we got back at 5 a.m. back to Gainesville, and she had to get on a flight to go to a trade show in Vegas before coming back for Gator Nationals.
Well, that's why you're perfect for each other.
And I literally remember when she left, I said, this was different.
Different.
And literally, I guess it was, I don't know how many days later, 4 or 5 days later, we went on our second date, which was
back to Arizona.
To Arizona, and it was literally supposed to be for 4 days. I brought 5 days worth of clothes. Supposed to go for 4 days, and the second day we were out there, Indiana shut down for 2 weeks, and pilot's like, I don't even know if I can legally fly out of the state, pick you up, and bring you back. And kind of looked at each other, and we went,
bummer.
That's
kind of like this. And
shoot.
Then I think it was 2 weeks into that is when they shut down the whole month of April, and now we're both like,
how?
So
everyone has a different COVID experience.
Yeah, totally.
Ours was managing our teams, comparing notes between organizations and sanctioning
falling in
bodies,
love.
and falling in love. And I think, you have a lot of time to be together. And the things that we talked about and shared about ourselves were not your best foot forward. You're really your worst
all
foot.
the skeletons in the closet.
Right out of the gate. That way, like, we're going to do this. Let's get to the, to the meat of everything.
That's so great.
That's exactly what I loved was his just being him. And no matter what people say about him I didn't follow his career, and I got to meet just Tony as Tony without everything else. And that's what I loved.
I love that. I'll gush a little bit on you, Tony, and then I have a little trivia for you. But I will gush on you a little bit, Tony. Tony made me better in my career. I actually had Kurt Busch on my podcast, like second one, and I would say Tony, Kurt, Kevin a little bit, Kyle, right? There were certain guys when I first started 2007, super young, super green, didn't know what I was doing, very nervous in the garage, didn't know a lot about NASCAR. And there were certain guys who you had to get it right. You had to work harder to get it right. They deserved that. And you were absolutely that guy. I remember, oh my goodness, I tell this story a lot, actually, Tony, like you getting out of the car one time, me having to interview you, and I swore that the microphone was picking up my heartbeat because I was so fucking nervous that like I didn't know what you were gonna say to me, because Tony could be like so funny, but then he could also again hold you accountable if you asked him something that wasn't the question that should have been asked. So I appreciate you so much for making me the person and the journalist and helping me build my base, how to prepare for things. A lot of that came from you. So that's my gush on you.
I love
And
that.
It's
That's
true.
exactly who he is
It's
all the
true.
time.
He made me better. And let me tell you, when people would say to me, I say this, if I had a dime for how many times I've said this, when people say to me, what's it like to interview Bill Belichick at halftime? I'm like, he could tell me to F off and no one would know. I go, have you ever interviewed Tony Stewart getting out of an infield care center after he just hit the wall at Talladega? I go, that shit's scary. This is nothing. This is nothing. I've got this. I'm good. I can handle anything that comes my way. So thank you for, I probably wouldn't have thanked you in 08, 09,
No,
to
definitely
2010 when I was like, oh my God, Ryan.
You're making it sound so glamorous, like I did you such a huge favor.
But you
and it
did.
was and yes, but not because in the moment we were sitting there going, you know what, we want to help her. We want to help her be better. We were assholes.
No, but
but it did. It we would go to the tracks every weekend and go to the media center, and the people that were there every week knew that if we were taking our time to go to the media center, you better be on your game.
Yeah.
You better ask us questions that mean something. You're not going to waste our time. You would always get the Viv Bernsteins that came from the big publications and come in there and act like she was more important than anybody else and ask the dumbest damn questions in the world. And we would just carve them up like a Ginsu knife infomercial. We did. We were like, if we're going to do this, ask us something that makes sense. Do your homework before you come in here, because everybody else that shows up at the racetrack, they did their homework at home before they showed up, whether they're driving the race car, working on the race car, owning the race car, the safety team, the sanctioning body. Everybody did their work before they got here. Don't show up and piggyback off of somebody else's work that they worked for.
Yeah, but I also learned a very valuable lesson that I didn't know then. It was don't take it personal, because there's so many other things that were going on that it wasn't about me, right? It wasn't about what it was about so many different other things. But Indy would always be the best, right? Because back then we would have to go to the haulers. Do they do that in the other types of racing?
No,
because that was the worst. Like Ed Hinton in July, like when you're like this and everyone's God rest his soul, when everyone would just be sweating and you guys would walk out of the back of the haulers and we would all. I have pictures of me kind of like this, But Indy would be the best because you would get some of the local people who would be like, "Hey, what does this track mean to you, Tony?" And Tony would be like, "Literally, go get my soundbite from last year, the year before that, the year before that, the year before that." Because yes, you deserved a certain level of preparation.
Well, the people did too. The people that are listening to it deserve better than that.
Yeah.
People knew. I mean, by the time you've ran there for 5 years, they know exactly what racing at Indy means to you.
It should be about insights.
Something else.
Inside information.
Something that has substance to it. But these are also people that are covering basketball the night before, football. Yeah. They're covering this and that. And even those guys, I feel like, are the local guys at the local levels are doing a better job of that. They realize that the entire game is way different.
Yeah.
That there's so many news outlets. There's so much you can read on social media that the softball, normal questions that you can just put in your pocket and pull out for every person, that stuff doesn't work anymore.
Yeah. Well, I thank you. So,
thank you.
For the role that you've played in my career. All right, I've got let's do a little who said it, and then I'll let you guys get out of here. I tried to look up famous Tonys. The only one that I could really find was Tony Stark. Do you know who he is? Iron Man?
Yes.
Or Tony Stark.
Yes.
Okay. So who said it? Tony Stewart or Tony Stark? Okay, we ready? If there's one thing I've proven, it's that you can count on me to pleasure myself.
Stark.
That's right. Iron Man. 2010.
I mean, I just haven't heard you say that.
I mean, it could have gone both ways there, right?
Good job, babe. I'm glad we got the first one right out of the gate.
Go.
Good job.
I broke my leg is all I did. I didn't break my brain.
Well, it's probably Tony
Stewart. Tony Stewart said that, yes. This could go either way either. Clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right.
Here I am. Probably Tony Stewart. I mean,
sure he did at some point. But that was Tony Stark in Avengers.
Let's use that this weekend. Oh, we're racing the 4 wide. Clowns to the left and chokers to the right. Okay.
We love that. Okay. I don't always lose my temper. Wait. Yeah, I do.
Oh, come on. I don't know that he would admit that. So Stark.
It was Tony Stewart.
Oh my God, that's a layup.
I mean,
That's probably the easiest question she has on the list. I'm assuming.
Tony Stewart people knew for 40 years are like now.
But yeah.
See? You're doing better.
I have so many great Tony Stewart stories. We could be here for all day. Following's not really my style.
Tony Stewart.
That was Tony Stark, actually. I know my phone keeps vibrating. I should have turned off. That was totally rookie move. The Avenger 2012. I love this one. I'm not fat. I'm just short for my weight.
No, not Tony. Well, Tony Stark.
That was Tony Stewart. By the way, my buddy.
I'm trying not to get in trouble here, and usually all he just says is this fat kid weather?
You look great.
Or I'm not race
by
fit.
the way. How much have you slimmed down?
I honestly don't know.
You look great.
The
look
problem is I
fantastic.
got in a car that she drove, and then I get in there, and every pound that I weigh outside of what she weighs, my crew reminds me of. So,
Performance.
Performance.
Team.
You look fantastic. You look happy. Leah, you're everything and more that I expected you to be. So I keep for the women, the moms, all of that stuff, keep kicking ass. And I always tell, I know you're a new mom, and at the risk of sounding condescending, I tell the women it's okay. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be confused. It's okay to be all of those emotions that are going to come with having to go back to work and having to kind of juggle it all, because those emotions will come. But it's okay to feel that, because we're human and we're moms and all that stuff. And at least, great partner.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I do have the best support system.
Yeah.
With Tony. Yep.
You guys are awesome. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
All right. A lot of gratitude that I saw from Tony Stewart. And I'm not going to keep you guys much longer because we've already gone really long, but I want to share this. I had the privilege, the honor to co-host Catwalk for Causes. Let me correct myself, because there were so many sponsors that came on board this year to make it happen. I knew Sherry Pollux. I didn't know her really, really well, but I've known her for a really long time. I think I met her for the first time in 2004. She was diagnosed with stage 3 ovarian cancer when she was 35 years old. I'm 49. Can't imagine getting that call at 35. And I checked in on Sherry a lot while she was going through her treatment and going through cancer. And I told her many times that any one of us, we could be the next one to get the call, right? Any one of us could get the call saying that we have cancer, and she did. I remember some of the final text messages that I shared with her, what her poor little body went through while she was battling her disease. And the Catwalk for Causes was something that was really important to her. And this, I think, was the third time that I got to host it. First time with Erin Evernham, who I adore. And I'm so glad I got to hang out with her and talk to her, because she's just a cool ass girl. But let me tell you about this little girl, Olivia. So I really wanted to, we were backstage and we're kind of watching the kids play, which they should be, right? These kids have spent way too many hours in a hospital and in hospital beds and all this stuff. And they're playing and they're eating and they're, Legos and running around and getting their makeup done. And it's just so beautiful. And I'm watching the parents who are, gosh, can you imagine like being, I can't imagine what it's like to be a parent of a child who is battling cancer. And the one thing that you want to do in your life is keep your kid safe and keep your kid, from hurting, and you can do very little. And so I have a lot of empathy towards those parents. And there's one little girl caught my eye. Her name is Olivia. I think she's turning 4. She has leukemia. She loves to go to the pool, and to the aquarium. She dances really well. That's what her bio says. She wants to dance. And then what does she want to be when she wants to grow up? She wants to be a princess. That's what she said. Love it. She looked like a princess too. She had a little tiara on, little pink dress. And so I walked up to her mom and asked her a little bit about herself, Olivia, and she told me, and I brought Olivia out onto the stage. And this girl, and I tell you, she had the cutest little hazel eyes I've ever seen in my entire life. I sat down and like kind of talked to her, tried to give her the microphone. She was just the most beautiful thing. I got a message from her mom. It said, "Sarah, thank you for sending this. By the way, I hope you don't mind that I'm sharing this." It says, "Hi, This is on Instagram. Hi, Olivia's mom here. Thank you so much for sparking joy and acknowledging the courage in my itty bitty fighter. It was a night of love and support we will never forget. Sarah, Olivia, thank you for, giving me support and courage through your courage. It was a night that I will never forget. It was a night that I am so grateful to be a part of anytime I can be a part of it. If you can give to Catwalk for Causes, if you can support it in any way, I will tell you the night is so beautiful to see those little kids, to see the drivers and have their strength while they hold these little kids' hands and walk down the catwalk and the joy in their eyes. It was a pretty special night. So thank you, Sherry Pollux. I know you can hear me from wherever you are right now up there. Thank you for starting that, and thank you for your power in supporting these young kids. And I can't promise that I'm going to streamline this podcast in the next month or so. I'm going to keep going a little bit crazy. Next week, we actually have Greg Biffle on. We're about a year out of the tragedy, Helene, the hurricane. And I want to have Greg on to talk about it because he did so much at that time to rally, took his own helicopter, probably saved hundreds of lives by doing that. And so we're going to have Greg on to talk about that. I've known Greg for a really long time. He has also reinvented himself, Hall of Fame nominee, all of that stuff. But he's going to be on next week to talk about that. So thank you again for humoring me. Subscribe, please, please, please subscribe. And I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation with Miss Leah. I love her, by the way. Love, and Tony Stewart. Bye.